You know what's funny is I went and saw this movie at an AMC theater, and you know how when you go to an AMC theater, they play that Nicole Kidman ad before the movie plays. Ironically enough, when I went to see Aquaman 2 at an AMC theater, they didn't play that ad. I don't know if that was just a coincidence for that theater or they finally took those down. But I just think it's fun because that ad had Nicole Kidman and I was watching a movie with Nicole Kidman. It's all connected. Hello, all my movie loving maniacs, and I hope everyone had a nice Christmas. Hope everyone got what they wanted. Hope everybody ate good, and I hope everybody spent time with family. But now that the Christmas season is over, there's still some work left for me to do in the month of December, like The Color Purple. I've yet to watch Rebel Moon. There's the Jonathan Majors verdict. Before I get to all that, let's talk about Aquaman, The Lost Kingdom. Jason Momoa reprises the role of Arthur Curry, aka the Aquaman, in which Black Manta returns. He's under the possession of some dark trident. And so Arthur Curry, he breaks his brother out of prison. They go on a little adventure together and to figure out what's the deal with this trident and how to stop Black Manta. And this is also the official end of the DCEU. Now, real quick, if you watched my review of the first Aquaman recently, you know how I feel about that movie. I don't hate the movie, but I don't think the movie's fantastic, and I have a lot of disdain towards that movie's commercial success. But I had a feeling that this would not be the case here, considering how DC movies are flopping at the box office, and the DCEU has been digging its grave ever since James Gunn was put in charge to head DC moving forward. But as they are prepping this new universe, Warner Brothers still had movies that were either too expensive or too far along to cancel, and those four movies we got this year was Shazam! Fury of the Gods, The Flash, Blue Beetle, and now we finally end the DCEU with Aquaman 2, which is kind of a bit of an underwhelming, but at the same time, it had its fun moments. I'll just say that, but all right, let's get into it. Now, I will say I like this movie just a tad more than the first movie. In fact, I'll watch this over the first movie, but at the same time, from an objective standpoint, this movie is just not good. It's still not as good as the first one. The best thing I can really say about this movie is it's not the worst movie in the DCEU, and it's not one of those DCEU movies that's so bad it embarrassed itself, but it's still just not that good either. And one thing about this movie is it's starting to copy beats from Marvel movies somehow. Like from the very last line of the movie is ripped straight out of a Marvel movie. And once you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And of course, I gotta bring up the fact that James Wan does return as director of this movie, and I'll say for all the movies he's made, well, I haven't seen all his movies, but I'll say as far as the ones that I've seen, this is his worst movie to me. But his filmmaking foot is on display in this movie. Like, there's definitely some shots and some special effects that are pretty decent. And there's even one shot with Black Manta where you don't see him, but then those big red eyes glow out, and I was like, oh, that was a James Wan shot right there. And the action is basically on par with the first film. Though I will say, set-wise, I feel like they do kind of go around the globe more in this movie than they did in the first movie, which I did appreciate. Like, we didn't just spend most of the time underwater. Like, there's some action scenes that feel like a Bond movie, some action scenes that feel like a Mummy movie, even some action scenes that feel like an Indiana Jones movie. And for what it's worth to the fact that this is the last DCEU movie, it does have fun and it embraces the wackiness of it. And I think it's mainly because I really didn't enjoy the wackiness in the first movie that much, so I guess going into this movie I just kind of accepted it and was able to just kick back and have fun. Though this movie was a bit plagued by reshoots, so there are times where the story, it does feel like there's some gaps in the story that I feel like, wait, I feel like well, this doesn't connect to that. And as wacky as this movie was, there were times where the movie did get a little bit melodramatic. Like, for example, somebody gets kidnapped and then everybody, including Aquaman, they do a dramatic no, and then it starts going all slow-mo, and then it's just like, all right, what are we doing here? But of all those things, I will say I did enjoy the brotherly aspect between Arthur Curry and Orm, and all the baggage the two of them have held towards each other, and they come into an understanding and knowing more about each other and embracing each other and working together. Because I will say that was one aspect of the first movie that I did enjoy, was just the brotherly rivalry, and they expand that here, and I just appreciate that. And like I say, Jason Momoa, he returns as Arthur Curry, and like I said, he's basically on par with his character in the first movie, and he's just having fun. Though I will say that I do like that the fact that he never wanted to be king, but he took it anyway. And now that he is king, he's just the worst at it. But then as the movie goes along, he's learning how to be a better king. Patrick Wilson returns as Orm, and like I said, I like the brotherly aspect of this movie, and they do give him some much needed redemption in this movie. Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, I felt was a little bit more better in this movie than he was in the first movie. Like, he wasn't acting all melodramatic or overacting. I feel like he was a little bit more subdued in this movie. Granted, he was possessed, well, his character was possessed the whole time, but at the same time, I felt like he just chilled out for this movie. He looks more of a badass in this movie than he did in the other movie. Randall Park has an extended role in this movie because he cameoed in the first movie. He does bring the laughs, and for where they take his character, I did appreciate that because it plays into Black Manta. And of course, Amber Heard. She is in this movie, but not that much. She only has but so many lines. Her role was, I won't say minimal, but limited, if that makes sense. Like, they put her where her character was needed, and they took her out where her character was unneeded. And I do have the feeling that a big reason for those reshoots was because of her. But overall, yeah, I have fun with it, but as far as like the end of the DCEU, it just feels just so abrupt. Like, I really feel like The Flash really should have been the last DCEU movie, but hey. This movie makes me want to change my rating for the first movie, in which I gave it the thumbs up emoji. I am going to change that now. I'm giving the first Aquaman the shoulder shrug emoji because I'm giving Aquaman the Last Kingdom the shoulder shrug emoji. There are things I liked about the movie, and then there are things I didn't like about that movie, and that's just where I am with this movie.